Like the more research I do, the more I pull out, and the more horrified I'm seeing that what's happening. Now, I also had another interview today with somebody who has been dealing with autoimmune issues, and this information is coming from a very well-respected, this is a rheumatologist, but she is a specialist in autoimmune diseases. And in 2009, she stated that there were approximately 40 autoimmune diseases. Now, there are between 160 to 180 autoimmune diseases. So if people don't think, let's wake up, like cancer, all these things, it's like horrible, like what's going on here and how sick everybody is, and to see autoimmune issues. Now, what's crazy is when I did my first show months ago, and I started doing more research and bringing up the relation of the relation of oxidative stress and what it is, because oxidative stress is elevated ROS. That is actually, oxidative stress is the condition of elevated ROS. And the minute I started breaking it down, I immediately was like saying, wow, because basically ROS is typically a normal cellular process, however, which is reactive oxidative species. However, when it's elevated, whenever it feels it's attacking its own cell. The minute I said it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like autoimmune disease. And look at like it's what's happening. Like since 2009 to go up like to that magnitude of that many more autoimmune diseases, obviously there's an issue. And I'm also, and I did not intend to go here again tonight, but this is what's crazy. So as I had another interview today relative to the information in regards to the autoimmune issues, I also found out that I can't even believe this, but I also, when I started going to PubMed to pull up data, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's in there, vaccination and autoimmune issues. And it's relative. Like there's all kinds of reports with with exacerbations and causing autoimmune issues after vaccinations. So once again, whoa, to pull up and find how disturbing it is to see, that's what American Cancer Society is doing. Like the first thing on their page is they're pushing the vaccine. I'm like, are you kidding me? None of the other things. And so, there's definitely a common element here of big money and control that's like can't be avoided. And as I mentioned last week, like we are talking when it comes to like four point something trillion dollars on healthcare and cancer treatments, billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being paid, are spent on cancer treatments, and a year. I mean, it's like this is a big market. Like, and this is what else is disturbing. So, and I'm seeing like there's just, and like I said, please bear with me because I'm trying to process all this information, because if you start connecting these dots, you're gonna start. It's gonna open your eyes to something pretty scary. And I'm also going to read something else from here, which is even more disturbing. But for instance, when I mentioned these vitamins that everybody thinks are healthy, we're talking, and I'm going to go back to the B6 because pyridoxine hydrochloride is so disturbing, which is a synthetic form of vitamin B6, which is in it's in all kinds of things, and it is made with formaldehyde, hydrochloric acid, and petroleum ester. But that's not the only thing that's so disturbing to me. You want to hear what's really disturbing is that it inhibits your own body's natural B6 production. And I kind of went by this quickly, but let's digest this for a second. So FDA is allowing these, like, I don't even know how these three things, this is vitamin B6, like, it doesn't even, it's horrifying that this is, like, considered a healthy thing, and it's crazy. But now if you think about it, it's inhibiting your body's own natural production. So basically, you're becoming physically dependent on the synthetics. Like, that's kind of scary to me. Well, never mind what's into this stuff. But which also brings up another point, which is frightening, because if you think about like all these pharmaceuticals, and how I mentioned last week that we don't have a choice. If you go to the hospital, you're getting synthetics. You're getting the pharmaceuticals. You don't get, like, you don't have a choice. The insurance companies, what are they paying for? Only the pharmaceuticals, or only, the synthetics. And, even though these things that, and they try to claim that this stuff isn't validated, but there's all kinds of validation on holistic remedies, which once again, holistic is treating the whole. And so you're actually getting to the core problem. You're treating the cell. And that's, to where the way, like back how I just mentioned the vitamins, now you're inhibiting, so now you're going to have to depend on the synthetic form of the vitamin in order to get your B6. Well, kind of like a lot of these products, these pharmaceutical products are treating a symptom. And then they have a buttload of other symptoms that they create and problems that they create. Because remember, everything boils down to the oxidative stress on a cellular level. You're just masking the symptom. You still got that, whatever's happening is going on, but don't forget, what you're masking the symptom with is creating more oxidative stress. Hello, of course, and next thing you know, people are mega vitamins, or not vitamins, but pharmaceuticals, one after another. Ironically, I did an honors paper years ago when I had my clinical nutrition degree on polypharmacy or malnutrition in the elderly due to polypharmacy. And it was so disturbing, like how many medications these elderly patients were on, but they were literally dying just because of the symptoms, the side effects of all these medications, swallowing issues, everything else. They were so malnourished, but it was like there was no problem just getting it's crazy. It really is. It's sad to see what's happening and that nothing's being done, and how we're allowing this, and how slowly but surely all of our foods are being contaminated, all of our seeds. We're not even going to be able to have natural, even get seeds. And these seeds are owned and controlled. It's crazy. They have to, it's what I found out from the farmer. I'm just wow, it really is, it's frightening. So now I'm going to read something, because to find out that, the vaccination issue, and my friend that I know that has the autoimmune disease, when I did this research, I called her right away, and I'm like, hey, this is, more information of the validation of, the relation between vaccines and all these autoimmune diseases. Of course, but here they're still, they're being not only pushed on us, it's a whole different level now when it comes to vaccinations, and people are being forced and can't even get jobs and everything else. It's like this is crazy. But when I called her, I'm like, and she's like, oh, I know. She said, from 2009, she was, and this is a very well-respected specialist in autoimmune diseases. She said she hasn't had a vaccine since, because that was one of the first things she says. But is that something that's being widely? Actually, I know a ton of other people that actually have autoimmune issues, and guess what? They were vaccinated, and they were it was pushed on them. So there's a lot that people, that's being kept from people, and not only, and it's to their detriment. It's horrible. But I'm also going to read something else from the Bible, and now this is from Revelations. And so this is really disturbing, once again, when it comes to the vaccinations, because I'm gonna have to breathe for a second, because just trying to digest all this, and I'm hoping that people start opening their eyes to see what's going on, because how we can sit back and allow all these poisons and toxins. But this is a whole different level right here, so I'm getting ready to read this. And so this is Revelations 13, Revelations chapter 13, and I'm reading 16 through 18. He required everyone, great and small, rich and poor, slave and free, to be tattooed with a certain mark on the right hand or on the forehead. And no one could get a job or fair or even buy in any store without the permit of that mark, which was either the name of the creature or the code number of his name. Here is a puzzle that calls for careful thought to solve it. Let those who are able interpret this code. The numerical values of the letters in his name add to 666. Let me read Revelation 13:17 again. And no one could get a job or even buy in any store without the permit of that mark, which was either the name of the creature or the code number of his name. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who got a vaccine got the mark of the beast. However, holy cow, I saw, and it got pulled. Of course, there's so much being kept from people that they're not being notified of or aware of, and power and money is controlling and keeping all this information from everybody. But we are talking a very well respected, we are talking, biologist and who actually she biochemist, and she was involved with the pharmaceuticals or with the vaccinations, and she studied them, and what she found in them was really disturbing. I mean, we're talking like this 6 tentacle thing that actually a living amoeba type, a living substance was in there, and it was 2 different. I think it was 2 different pharmaceutical brands. So it wasn't just one. They were 2 different vials, 2 different from 2 different things, and they both contained this thing that she said actually got off the slide. And then there was such a heavy metal, there was something in there that translucent, and it was such a solid, like heavy metal, that it almost like similar, like a motherboard is kind of how she put it. Now, I'm not trying to, but it got pulled. Now, this is not somebody who believes in alien babies or any of that stuff. We are talking this person, very well respected, and this was what she found. But it got pulled, so people aren't aware of it. But it's only just more validation, and I'm not trying to say these things and create stuff but it's, if you connect the dots once again, it really is frightening what's happening. And please do your own research. Don't just listen to me, because I'm sure, I mean, honestly, it sounds outrageous. It's disturbing. It's that disturbing that honestly, I wish it wasn't true. I wish I wasn't opening up this Pandora box, but it's very true and relative, unfortunately. So, and rather than to continue talking about all these things, I want now to give some recommendations. Now, since I talked about the vaccines and this heavy metal, the first thing I want to, and I've already mentioned it on some other shows, but what's really good for getting rid of a lot of these heavy metals is broken cell wall chlorella. And I've been doing a lot of research, and this is a particular brand from Taiwan, because Taiwan has, from the research that I've done, actually has the least amount of heavy metals, because the problem is it's hard to get, I mean, it's just like everything is so contaminated. Again, I'd be careful when it comes to anything from China, because in my research I found out that even these organic products, they do have a lead issue, even in the soil and everything else, which, come to find out, they're buying a lot of the farmland, and they own a lot of the seeds too. So that's another thing there, because there are some issues there. And I'm definitely want to notify everybody. Also too, when it comes to, so these are organic, and these came from Taiwan, but also to when it comes to binding, so this is the organic, this is Chlorella peridinosa. And the peridinosa is the brand. So I recommend, if you can't get it from Taiwan, to try to get some from America, I would just, be careful of where your products are coming from, because once again, you want to make sure you're not getting, there's not toxics in them. But this right here, this is Earth Circle. So this seems to be a good brand that I like. And these are the tablets. They seem to be. There's also, I actually found, like when I was doing the pH testing, that there's another one that's more of a powder form, but it's kind of hard to digest. So these are really easy to take, and I love them. So not only do I take these to help when it comes to binding and pulling out the toxins and heavy metals, they're really alkaline. And so once again, how I mentioned, it's really good you want to keep your body, either neutral or a little alkaline. And so let's say that's my form of Tums, because I like coffee, and coffee is acidic. However, coffee also has a lot of antioxidants. So, but it's definitely my go-to. I do like my coffee. So to circumvent the acidic state that my body would fall into, I constantly will go ahead and have the chlorella along with it. So I keep neutral. Also too, as I've mentioned before, when you have a lot of stress, when you're under a lot of stress actually creates your body to be acidic. And if you've heard, acid kills. So when I'm stressed out, if I have some things that are happening that are extremely stressful, I end up having extra chlorella. And I'll tell you what, I feel so much better, because I was aware that stress creates your body to be acidic after dealing with a situation. And I felt like I got hit by a bus. I was like, I could feel how the stress, and because I do a lot of pH testing, I'm like, wait, my body's acidic. I knew right away, and sure enough. So now that I'm aware of that, that's the way these little things are really, it's to keep your body healthy and to keep that oxidative stress under control. You will control. Not only is it going to be relative to all these diseases, and the autoimmunes and the cancers and all these other things, you're just going to feel better and healthier, and anti-aging. So it's going to also help with beauty. And so I've got a bunch of other little remedies here that's going to kind of touch on a lot of that. But so for instance, when it comes to so for me, the one thing I want to talk about too is because I have, the one thing I've been able, so I started talking last week about how I was able to, I was under it. So I went down mainstream medicine at one point. I was in a car accident, and actually a few car accidents. I had a 18-wheeler semi that rear-ended me, and I can't even believe I walked away from that. And then I was in another car. I was a passenger, and the car was totaled, and it hit my side. And so I have 3 herniated, 4 bulging discs in my neck and back. Went through TMJ surgery. Then I had a nightmare knee surgery too. That's a whole nother issue there. So I ended up going through down pain management, and it was horrible. And that's a whole nother thing there, is that the way they push these medications on. And once again, a lot of these medications are linked to cancer. And ironically, like the Tylenol is renal cell carcinoma, which my mom died from, which also she took her Tylenol PM. So I don't want to be repetitive on a lot of these issues, but there's so much here that seems to be connected. And, so I do take there's a supplement that is good for alleviating oxidative stress. It's actually known, if you look it up, and I'm not making any claims. I'm not saying that it treats or cure any disease or condition, but if you look up, I'm just giving you the name so you can look up yourself. But if you go to PubMed.gov, look up Protandim NRF2. And there's also some information on mgholistics.com, but that alleviates, it's known to, it actually decreases oxidative stress 40% in 30 days. And that's huge. Now that's huge so that's what it does. That's what it's known for. That's what the studies show. I'm not making any claims. But once again, do the math of connect all these dots of how beneficial that is when it comes to overall health and well-being. So that is definitely my go-to. But as I mentioned before, when it comes to oxidative stress, when you have a reduction in oxidative stress, it's also relative to inflammation. And so there's so many connections here, but I want to be careful that I'm not making any claims on this product. But I just want to let people know there are other things out there than to go to these painkillers that are extremely harmful to your health. So I can't help. That's why I've decided that it's more important for me to inform people And that's why I'm on this quest to do so. I've also too talked about, and these are my two go-tos all the time, and there's also a medical device. And once again, if you have any questions, please just send me a message. But there's also a medical device that helps with blood flow. And that's what feeds the cells. And so when it comes to like the broken cell wall, chlorella, also another thing when it comes to having a healthy supplement, and these are like, this is just one thing. So I'm afraid to even use the word supplement anymore, because a lot of times when you hear supplement, it's manufactured and synthetic. And I'm referring to, these are just all natural that I've scrutinized, but organic wheatgrass. And organic wheatgrass actually is also known to clean the blood. And the blood is so important. And so that is why when it comes to, there's also a medical device that I use, and that is, it increases vasomotion, which is, it initiates the blood flow to like the point of microcirculation. And we're 74% microvessels, and it's the microvessels are what actually is where the blood tissue perfusion is. And that is what is feeding our cells and feeding the epidermis and feeding. So we're not talking just, once again, like, of course, the nutrients and the oxygen. And that's relative to a healthy cells. And once again, oxidative stress. If you keep your cells healthy, we're made of trillions of cells. That's how you take care of everything. And that's the way you do it, in a healthy way. Not masking symptoms, not taking these synthetics that are creating more havoc and causing more damage to your cells. And that is why it's so disturbing to me that there's so many people out there that are miserable and dying, but FDA won't allow these products to be known. And so I want to be very careful. I'm not like making any claims. I'm just stating what is in PubMed, and to do the research, and if you want to get more information on it, but it's time that people realize that there's other options out there, because to me it's criminal that we're being force-fed synthetics and we're not given a choice. With I think it's 4.5 or 4.1 trillion on healthcare. I think last year 4.1 trillion on healthcare, yet it's our pharmaceutical based, and it's not, there's an issue there. And it's like, if you want to go for a healthier alternative, then you're on your own, and there's an issue there. And also too, if you want to be aware and notified of it, pretty much you're having to find out on your own, because through the grapevine, because these products, they're not allowed to say what they do. So I want to, I'm going to try to be cautious, because I don't want to do anything that's going to be detrimental to these companies. But at the same time, it really is time that people open your eyes and start seeing that there's other things out there. And for instance, like, so the medical device, it's actually, if you look up in PubMed, you can look up Bemer, Bemer. I'm not making any claims, but I want to just initiate people to do their own due diligence, to do their own research. Because if you're relying on these organizations to present things and bring awareness, it's not going to happen. Because as you can see, these things are like, there's so many toxins and so many things out there that are being kept from people. And it's like, all these vaccines are being pushed. And here, my friend who has autoimmune disease, she's related to this very predominant and well-respected rheumatologist. But, she was told since 2009, absolutely no vaccines. But why are they being pushed for everybody else? Not just pushed, forced for people to travel, to get, all this stuff. It's like, there's issues here. Now I'm going to bring up how to alleviate, because pull up all the research. If you've seen some of my other shows, if it appears repetitive, some of these certain points, it's because this is so important, and I really wanted to for people to really digest it. The vaccine, or COVID rather, which goes hand in hand here. So COVID, all the research is relative to, okay, you look it up, oxidative stress and COVID are linked. Elevated ROS. It showed that elevated ROS in the testing increased viral load, increased COVID viral load. Remember, reactive oxidative species, that's relative to oxidative stress, which all these other things elevate. So you reduce the oxidative stress. And that's going to be beneficial for COVID. Also linked is vitamin D deficiency. Well, if you have a vitamin D deficiency, once again, you have elevated ROS. So now that I'm seeing everything that I'm seeing with all these with all these vitamins and how toxic what's in them. Vitamin D is naturally occurring in the sun. So, get out there and get some sun. Like take that walk. And I've also mentioned once again how the acidic state and stress. Get out there. To have a walk to reduce the stress is huge. And also too, when it comes to now, I know it's hard for me. Like, I didn't even realize when I started, but there is such a connection when it comes to the Holy Spirit and our bodies. And there's a lot of people that have said that, they think, they've healed themselves meditating. And what I believe it is because our bodies were made naturally, just like, Adam and Eve, and how God gave us, and, everything. He provided all of our needs and everything. The problem is where our bodies are not, and our bodies are miracles and magnificent, and they're capable of healing, but they're not going to self-heal when that elevated RS, because it has all these foreign invaders that are, it's causing havoc, and it's causing damage to the cells. And I don't know how, like, people, and just the fact it's in everything. It's getting harder and harder and harder. And now even our seeds are getting destroyed. Like it's going to be at the point where there's going to be nothing. And it's really disturbing to me. But now we've got, so once again, now for the best things for COVID and to alleviate the COVID, the vitamin D, naturally occurring in the sun. Reduce the oxidative stress. I mentioned the supplement. Now, I've done a lot of research, and this has been actually, this supplement has been, the doctor, we're talking mega awards, I think a Nobel Prize, like this guy is just, and the research, there's so much validation year after year on this. And there was somebody when I mentioned, so initially when I started talking about the ROS, well, what combats the ROS? And reactive oxidative species, right? Antioxidants is what helps combat it. Now I have to be careful when I say that, because I had somebody send me some documentation after I mentioned that, and they're like, well, there's some questions about antioxidant supplements. I'm like, oh, there we go, antioxidant supplements. Because there's all these synthetic antioxidant supplements out there. Synthetic antioxidants. Synthetic vitamin antioxidants. No, I am talking natural. I've got to, like, even I've said accidentally, I've said anti-inflammatory, and I've got to, like, most people's brain goes anti-inflammatory, ibuprofen. No. If something is relative to oxidative stress, a reduction of oxidative stress, like, let's say the NRF2, protanum NRF2, is known to reduce oxidative stress. Well, the reduction of oxidative stress is relative to inflammation. I'm not making a claim for them, but just to get, so if I say anti-inflammatory, I'm referring to natural forms of anti-inflammatory. Now, since I'm bringing up stuff from PubMed, because there's other natural anti-inflammatories, and that is, and I'm going to talk about essential oils, because I love, like, I'm really big with essential oil blends. And so when it comes to, now I'm going to get, this is the fun part for me. So now, since I talk about oxidative stress and inflammation is relative to excessive aging. And so there's all kinds, like, this is PubMed. If you look it up in PubMed, you've got lavender essential oil. It's an antimicrobial. It's also an anti-inflammatory. And remember, an anti-inflammatory and aging, and it also is great. So I use it and for allergies, and so an antihistamine. And I was actually so when it comes to remedies, I use a Neomed rinse. Now the Neomed, once again, that's also all natural, and that's basically, I like the little packages because it's just a perfect mixture. But it's actually baking soda and salt, but that is so important for good sinus care, and also too, it's really good for your eyes because if you have, people don't even realize the connection, but a lot of times when people have puffy eye issues, and it's relative to issues with your eyes, but if you have good sinus care, if I have allergies that affect everything, it affects my sinuses, affects my eyes. So I find that when I have issues when my eyes are when they feel dry, I do the eye drops, but also I use the Neomed rinse, and it is very beneficial. Now, when it comes to, when I mentioned with the lavender, I've got to be careful with this because I've used, I do have one that's at MG Holistics. However, I've tried others, and that's why I just don't want to do across the board. You've got to be careful because I tried some different essential oils, and some burn, so you got to be careful. So if you try this, please be very careful. Use at your own risk. But I was also, because the lavender is known as an anti-inflammatory as well as an antihistamine, I was putting a drop in my, but you've got to be very careful because if you do too much, it can really burn. But I was doing a drop of that and the lemon. And it was also great, very beneficial for my allergies. But also, too, this is really good to have around the house if you deal with allergies. And so you can put your essential oils in there. Now, another one with the essential oils when it comes to anti-aging is I take the lavender and I literally put it in my face. So I have a face lotion. But you always have, when it comes to using any of these if you use a concentrated form of essential oil, you always want to have a carrier oil. But you'll be surprised, instead of constantly going to all these synthetics and whatnot, you could put together blends and go to PubMed and start pulling this data up. Because it is verified. It is verified in a medical database what a lot of these things do. Of course, it's going to be limited because who's paying for the majority of these studies you're going to find? The majority of these studies are going to be backed by big money and these synthetic things are these things that can be controlled, like even the seeds now, which is scary that all this stuff is being controlled like they are, and that they're patented and that this is seeds and everything, it's crazy. And then to read Revelations and just to see the way things are happening, it's frightening to see all the control and the lack of concern for our own health and well-being and all the manipulation that's out there. Because if you Google a lot of these things, you're not getting the data or the information. It's literally being kept. And the way a lot of these things are being pushed on and forced, they're being forced. We really don't have a choice. And I don't understand how we're not waking up to this and saying enough is enough and start demanding to have our options. And for those, if those that are fine with it and they want to have these synthetic products, but to have, the hospitals, to have an insurance company that will provide for these alternatives, these healthier alternatives, which actually would be the most profitable insurance company out there if you really think about it. Because if you treat the whole, you're not going to have all these. It's never ending. Once these people get in that circuit, it's like you're treating symptom after symptom, and you're not getting to the problem. And it really it's. Not only is it's disturbing, it's so heartbreaking for me to see all these people suffer, and then to know that there's things out there that when I had my holistic visits, now I'm closing the doors because it's more important, so to not have that control of having to be forced to be quiet, because that's the issue that is really frustrating to me, that for years I've known about a lot of these things, but when I've wanted to present it, and there's so many controls there with FDA and just protecting big pharma, when you know, what about protecting us? and which, where I think, you know, there's a lot of that the misinterpretation that there's a lot of faith in these different organizations that aren't really looking out. So now I'm going to give, so for when it comes to the fun stuff would be the anti-aging, but now for the allergies. So I like for instance, you can diffuse the essential oil, so you have that in your air. Allergies are a big thing, and I know that's the one that I suffer from, so that's why I want to start bringing some suggestions there. Also, too, another thing you do is get an air purifier. They've got like the ones with the air filters to keep your air clean. Now, also, the one thing that's really difficult for me is when it comes to allergies. Like, I've gotten a handle because I do the rinses, and there's also some other things that you could take that help with the allergies in addition to the oils. But I also get hives, if I have like allergic reactions, and those are like unbearable. So I have found that if I take, like, this happens to be like, this is a spray bottle that I reused, but I ended up putting in peppermint. Now, one of my allergies is dust mites, and certain areas, even if you have carpet, you could vacuum through, over and over again. It's sometimes you can't, there's other issues that will exacerbate allergies. But come to find out, I've always found, peppermint is really good. Like, if I ever have skin, I notice it kind of helps alleviate, like if you have itchy skin, all natural. So I'll take water and I'll put some concentrated peppermint oil in there and spray it on, and that works great. And then the more research I did, found out that it actually helps too with dust mites, which happens to be one of my allergies. So I don't know if it's actually serving two purposes. Once again, remember the lavender essential oil. That's another one that's really good because it also helps with inflammation, and pain and discomfort are relative. So when you're using the lavender, that's also beneficial. Now, when it comes to like having pain issues or a blend that, and again, I'm not claiming to treat or cure. This is all or replace medical care. I am just letting people know of what is in PubMed, what's out there. I'm just relaying research and also letting people know of what I do, like my alternatives, but I'm not claiming to treat or cure or any of that, so I've got to be careful. Even though I don't have the control of the holistic business, it's just, but it really is like, it's really sad that I even have to be that concerned, and that people have to be that concerned, like that we can't scream from the rooftops recommendations when we know things that are extremely valuable and beneficial for people's health and well-being. There's problems all the way around here. Like, I wish I wish people start waking up to see it, because it's really, really disturbing that this is happening, and it's to those that aren't aware and have the knowledge. It really is. It's heartbreaking, because I can't tell you how over and over and over again throughout the years. Now, I've been doing research into holistic since I was a young child, and to see these people suffer, and the problem is you try to even notify them. Oh, well, let me talk to my doctor. Well, then you go to the doctor. Next thing you know, they got a ton more medications, but I'm not against the doctors. Like, I have respect for everything they've been through and all the compassion and the time that they put into this. But it's unfortunate though, because what's controlling the education and is once again the money and the synthetics and da. So it's just, enough is enough. Like, something has to be done. So now back to my remedies, which once again I wanted to hesitate. I was afraid to even say all these remedies. But so now pain seems to be a big thing, and some of the things, because I've had like I mentioned, all these, I went down, it was a horrible road, and I'm like completely, like, thank goodness, thank God, like completely medication free and no pain meds, none of that. But it was horrible what, like, I went through because of the severity of all my injuries. But holistically, I was able, like, you could do, and once again, like the medical device that I had mentioned that increases the circulation. Well, if you increase the circulation, you have proper, like, a lot of these injuries cause scar tissue or cause issues that impede microvessels and impede vessels and blood flow, and lack of oxygen or lack of blood flow and lack of oxygen is relative to pain. And again, I'm not making any claims on this, but if you have proper circulation, your body self-heals. Once again, that magnificent body that God created, that, you know, miracles. And so to have that healthy blood flow is huge for that. So I was able, just between the two. Now, once again, healthy blood flow is not going to be beneficial if you've got a bunch of garbage and toxins in your blood. So a lot of these things, I'm not saying any one of these are a miracle in themselves. These are all tools, but this is stuff that people have knowledge of. So my protocol would be is I would do these medical devices that increase the blood flow. So I have healthy blood flow. And then I'm taking, you know, the wheatgrass. Now I'm having, you know, cleaning the blood. I have the, you know, the good, healthy blood. I don't have all the toxins. And the NRF2 synergizer that is decreasing oxidative stress. Now, you can fill your body, like you could take all these supplements and other things, but if you don't have proper blood flow, remember that's what's feeding your cells. You're not going to be getting the nutrient delivery. And the three things that's very valuable of the microvessels is nutrient delivery, detoxification, as well as oxygenation. And also too, if you go there, because I'm still leaving the website up to give information and to inform people of things that they may otherwise not be able to be informed of. But there's a video on there to show, like, the benefits when it comes to increasing the vasomotion and what this can do when it comes to impeded microvessels. And that's where I think a lot of injuries will impede the microvessels and other things as well, aging and everything else. So it's something that, you know, I really want people to start opening their eyes to know that there's alternatives out there, because believe me, I mean, I don't even know if I would be alive if I continued down the road of what I was being put through when it comes to all the medications and the steroids and the procedures. And I mean, I was horrible, like what it was doing to me. So I'm so grateful that I was able to find out about these things. Another thing too, like, you know, in regards to just, never mind, like the in addition to, let's say, you know, alleviating the oxidative stress, which of course, you know, the inflammation, alleviating the inflammation, and by the, you know, alleviating the oxidative stress, proper blood flow for proper healing, so your body can do what it's meant to do, and of course, you know, good healthy diet. I'm going to give some recommendations of things to eat too, because right now it's so hard, everything's so processed. So I'm gonna give you a few of my favorites, in addition to a couple more little remedies that I just, you know, my everyday go-tos that I absolutely love. But also there's CBD oil, and you can look that up, is very beneficial when it comes to. So before you go to these, once again, remember, before you like go for the Tylenol or the you know, ibuprofens or even the painkillers, which are, you know, I mean, it's an epidemic what's happening to these kids between the addiction issues, the death. You know, I mean, it's horrible, like what's going on. But never mind that. We're just talking not even when it comes to what's going on with all these, you know, the full blown pain medications. It just, the ibuprofen and the Tylenol alone is linked to cancer and liver failure and all kinds of issues. So I mean, it's to have that like knowledge, and that is really what my quest is about here, is to inform people and for us to wake up, because we've got, like, if we don't stop, this is, I mean, it literally is, we're being poisoned. I mean, this is a slow death, and I mean, I have no other choice, like I could, you know, but this really is a synthetic Holocaust. I just, like, it's terrible. But so back to, like, okay, so when it comes to, for instance, the CBDs. Now, I had tried CBDs for a while. Everybody was like, oh, try this one, da, 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 da. And And also too, because of anxiety. And I talked a lot about trauma and some other shows and had brought up trauma. But the CBD, I had tried like a lot of the oils, but the one that I found finally is, and once again, all my favorites are going to be on the website until there's an issue with that. And then if you want to know the favorites, then, what I like, and I've done so much research and whatnot. And also, if they're there, not only have I done the research, but I've used them myself. Like, there's a lot of protocols that I have when it comes to, and I'm not going to recommend anything that I don't use myself or believe in or have, not only is validated in the research, but I've also had great benefits from. So I've tried a number, but the water soluble one, and there's CBDs, but once again, the actual CBD that's water soluble that's on there, I only stick with the ones that have the natural, like they've got all kinds of flavors, but I stay away from anything that's not natural. So I think they've got like a plain one and like a lemon that's a natural, and any of the other flavors I stay away from, because once again, I'm trying to avoid anything unnatural. But the water soluble, out of all of them, I noticed really worked the best. And not only is it something that's proven that, if you go to PubMed, is good for anxiety issues. Oh, also too, I forgot to mention, now that I'm talking about anxiety, is the CBD oils, or not oil, but actually the water soluble, because it's more bioavailable. When I say bioavailable, it reaches on a cellular level, and if you're absorbing it better, it's going to be more effective. But not only is that beneficial, but in PubMed, you also look it up. Lavender is also known to decrease anxiety. So if you have, calming effect, you want to go ahead and use a diffuser and put the lavender in it. Not only is it going to be beneficial for the allergies, but it's also going to be beneficial for anxiety. And another one that I love, like with the essential oils, is when it comes to anti-aging. And how I mentioned that I'll put some lavender essential oil in. I have like one of my favorite, like I use a Hada Labo is a skin cream that I like, and I think it's like a skin plumping gel. But since you're supposed to have like a carrier oil, because you don't want to put it directly on your skin if you use a concentrated, I actually mix it up really good. I put a few drops in, and I mix up in my face lotion, and so the lavender, anti-inflammatory, helps with that. But it also, another one that's good, like there's all these, like, it's so exciting to me, like there's so many all natural healthy remedies out there that are fantastic. And there's a sweet orange, and it's an orange, so that's high in vitamin C. I put that in my face lotion too, because vitamin C increases collagen production. And so, you get a lot of these things out there. You might see all these hypes and all these things out there, but a lot of times you're getting synthetics. So if you can go for something that's more all natural, it really, I'm telling you what, I just celebrated my 55th birthday, and I got to tell you, I felt so good. I thought I was going to try to do a front walkover. Well, apparently, even besides all the healthy stuff, it's still, you still have natural wear and tear on your body. So let's just say I had to put a lot of these things to use this after I tried to do some things to push the limit. So, our bodies, there are going to be boundaries with what we can do, but all in all, I have to admit, I am so grateful that I have this information, and I really, because my quality of life has been so much better despite the nightmare surgery that I went through and still dealing with issues from. But thank God I have these natural go-tos, because I probably would have liver. I can't even imagine the issues I would have if I went to continue down mainstream medicine. And I really feel that it's not, I honestly, I have no other choice but to inform people, because it's at the point now that it's heartbreaking to me to see how many people are stuck in this, and they truly care about their bodies and their health, but they are so misinformed, and what's happening is actually causing more and more issues and problems. So now back to pain seems to be a big one when it comes to not only like the to have the CBD oil, or I keep saying oil, but the CBD, the water soluble CBD is what I recommend the best, and but also too, like the oils, if you could look them up. I also, there's another blend, like I take the with a carrier oil. And so I do like a fractionated coconut oil, and I'll mix the lavender, which is known as like an anti-inflammatory. I'll put the peppermint in because it has that. Actually, peppermint also increases circulation, and also kind of has that numbing effect. There's also some of these. Actually, I think there's the brand. I have some oils. There's also, it's called, there's like the deep blue, or it's like, it also has like the blue emu that's got a certain plant in there that kind of, that's a good thing to mix up too for when, like as a topical. Like these are things, I'll even put in some of the CBD topically, and that helps alleviate discomfort if there's discomfort. And then once again, as I mentioned before, the blood flow. So let's say you have healthy blood flow, that will initiate the absorption there. But, and other ways, like outside of not just, a medical device, but other ways to increase blood flow. It may not be to the same dynamic, but still make sure that walk again that I mentioned. Not only that walk, get outside, get some all natural vitamin D, but also when you take that walk, you'll increase circulation. And any amount of walking is going to help increase circulation. So that in itself is going to be very, very beneficial. And another remedy that I wanted to mention, and this is this is good for allergies, and this right here, I use a baby bottle because it has a little measuring thing, but it's actually, it's half of vinegar, white vinegar, and half alcohol. And I just so if you have allergies and you have if you have ear issues and like clogged ears, I just put a couple drops in my ear and let it and then I shake it out, and it really helps. I just love all these little remedies that really are beneficial, and they don't have a lot of the other stuff, and it just helps keep, good sinus care. And that's a good go-to for me because if the allergies, you get itchy ears, you get clogged ears, it's really, really beneficial. Another thing when it comes to allergies is, and actually these are two things. So I'm kind of jumping around because these remedies really, like I keep trying to say, they're universal. And that's why that's why it seems like I repeat the same things, but these things are so universal. And you know what the common element is? Alleviates oxidative stress. All of them. So right here, my next remedy. Organic white tea bags. Organic white tea bags. They have the least amount of processing, and which means they actually, and they're the highest in antioxidants. So remember, the antioxidants help combat, the all natural ones. So now I got to be more specific. The all natural antioxidants are going to help combat that oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is relative to everything. So now that I'm talking about, once again, allergies, is I warm up I've got the warm tea bags, and when I have, if my eyes are really, really bothering me allergy-wise, but not only allergies, I also use this like a beauty remedy too, is put it on the eyes. And it really, oh my gosh, it really helps. So you've got the warm tea bags, and not only are the warm tea bags going to be beneficial, or also styes, everything, there's so many issues that it's beneficial for, but the warm tea bags, the heat increases circulation. So not only are you using the warm tea bags and you're getting the antioxidants, they're beneficial for reduction of oxidative stress, reduction of inflammation. And they're also going to be beneficial so you've got the heat that's going to be increasing the microvessels, because that's increasing circulation. When you increase the microvessels, you're going to be absorbing more of the antioxidants. These, God gave us all these things for a reason. Everything was so magnificently planned, and just like the Bible said, and it was all excellent. The excellence, everything is it's all there. It's just that, now we're it's being just annihilated. It horrifies me to think how science can destroy what God gave us to where it's like, and it's, I don't even know, like I'm speechless. Like it really, really is that disturbing to me.